Now we're getting into the Reds, and it's going to be really obvious which way I lean here. Very, very obvious. But let's dive into the Reds, because the Reds scored 7 runs over the weekend. 7. Did you know they scored 7 runs over the weekend?
I did, because you've told me about 7 times.
Yeah.
He was also at 2 of the games.
I was at 2 of the games.
Yeah, which ones?
Let's not worry about it.
Yeah, the 2 that they lost, by the way. Jacob Tissot at those. Marisa went to all 3, so she did have a win to her resume, but they won 2-1. So just pointing out that part of it. What is the bigger issue for the Reds, who have lost 26 of their last 39 games? They're 13-26 since May 1. Is the bigger issue the bullpen, which we've spent a lot of time talking about the first 2 weeks of our show? Or is it the lineup that produced a whopping touchdown in 3 games over the weekend?
I still think it's the bullpen. I think the bullpen is the biggest weakness of this team, and I think the reason that I kind of stay in that camp, even though the offense has struggled so much lately, is because I don't see a path where the bullpen can get much better. I think the path for a successful lineup, or a more successful lineup, is right there for the Reds, and it's the continuing emergence of some of the young players that we've seen over the last week or so, and it starts with Noel Marte, goes to J.J. Bleday. Edwin Arroyo has certainly been a much better piece in this lineup. Ellie potentially returning as soon as this Mets series. I think this lineup has a chance to get back to a point where it is fine and competitive more often than it's not, sooner rather than later. And I don't have that same faith in the bullpen. I think most of my faith in the lineup over the bullpen comes from a lack of faith in the bullpen than actual innate faith in the lineup.
At this point in time, going into the weekend, I would have been right there with you with the bullpen. But I have to go lineup because of kind of what you just said.
Yeah.
Like, we know what we have in this Reds bullpen. This lineup should be better. They have to be better. And you're not going to win many games when you only score 1 run, 2 runs. And I get it, the bullpen has been really inconsistent. They've been giving up late leads, but those leads have been Reds up 2-1, Reds up 3-2. It's just, that's not going to cut it long term. It's not going to be sustainable. And so, yeah, my bigger issue right now is with this Reds lineup, and not only their inability to score runs, but the runners in scoring position stat, batting under 140 over the last month or so here. It's tough to see. You got to be able to find a way to get runners in, especially when they're on.
Look at Marisa. After the Wagner conversation, then she follows it up with Pitts instead of Moore, and then follows it up with the right answer. Of course it's the line. They scored 7 runs over the weekend. They can't score. To win games, you have to do what? Score.
Not let the other team score runs. Get out.
They gave up 11 runs over the weekend. 11 total.
Yeah.
Should have been a sweep. We should have that broom going right now. Aaron should be taking social media clips of us sweeping the entire studio.
You know why the broom?
But no.
Rodney was supposed to take that broom home. That's
That
broom
worked almost as hard as the Reds' bats did over the weekend, and it didn't move all weekend. It's just sitting there collecting dust. My goodness. Joey Votto's not walking through that door. How are they solving this lineup? What hope?
I think the lineup is better currently than the bullpen is. And not to mention when they get healthy. So
It's the reason they lost. The past two or three.
2 of 3 over the weekend is the reason the lineup's lost. The reason the Reds have lost 18 of the 23 that they've lost over the last month is because of the bullpen.
It's a big part. Look at how many runs they've scored.
Look at how many games they've been up in the 7th,
Why is
8th,
their
and
run
9th?
differential so bad? It's because they can't score. It's a big part of it.
Absolutely.
All
but
season.
If you're
Even
starting
with
rotation and the front end of your bullpen is good enough to get you to the 7th, 8th, and 9th, the 1-run lead, and you can't hold on to that, then it's the bullpen that's the problem.
If it's 3-2 and you lose 4-3, it's the bullpen?
If they blow it, it is.
It's just as much the lineup in those situations.
Yeah, I think
Come on.
I don't necessarily
If you
agree.
blow a 3-2 lead, it'd be like scoring 82 points in the NBA and you're up 82-80. You can't hold on. Well, yeah, you got to score more.
Yeah, I think when you have a bullpen that continually blows games that you have leads in, I'm going to go back to the bullpen. I mean, every other team in the league has a better 1-run record than the Reds do this year, or since the start in May. And that has been such a horrible stat for the Reds because that's what was keeping them afloat in April. And this bullpen before May 25th ranked 1st or 2nd in every single major stat. Since then, it ranks 28th, 29th, or 30th in bullpen stats. So it's been absolutely horrible for the Reds so far, and it's just a really hard hard thing to work through if your bullpen is going to unravel like this, because it doesn't matter what kind of start you have. It doesn't matter what kind of runs you are able to score. If you are able to score runs, the bullpen will blow it if it gets close.
The Reds have lost 5 straight series. Go ahead. You have a good stat?
Yeah, I was going to say, over the last 5 series, they have, 14, 15 games? They have scored 4 runs or more on 3 occasions. 4, that's
Yeah.
tough.
It's not great. It's not the worst offense in the league. It's the worst bullpen in the league.
During this 5-series stretch, you're still saying it's the bullpen, not the offense. 5 series.
None of the things on the Reds organization are close to the bullpen in terms of concern for me. Close.
Yeah.
Bullpen is so far ahead of everything else.
I think when you're scoring 3, 2, 6 in the one win against Atlanta, 2, 4, 2, 3, 5. Like, what do we do? 3. That's it. Their managers talked multiple times over the past week about how sometimes they struggle to score runs. And sometimes is all the time. They always struggle to score. And they'll have their 11-run game here this week, and it'll feel great and hunky-dory, and then they'll score 2 because they can't score. That's the issue. Yeah. And that's the thing. I think they tried to at least solve the bullpen. This lineup thing and the lack of run production, we could have seen in January, December, November. Like, it's pretty darn obvious they were going to stink it up at times at the plate. And boy, have they done that for most of the season.
Really, the only chance that the lineup wasn't a huge problem for this team was that Suarez was what he was last year, and he was pushing 50 home runs, and he was no doubt in the cleanup spot every single day and was a power hitter that he was the first time he was here in Cincinnati. Well, that certainly hasn't been the case so far. It hasn't been close. Absolutely not. And none of the other additions were even close to that echelon of an add to the lineup. So it's really hard for me to expect a lot out of the lineup when the lineup wasn't built well. And that's what I keep coming back to here. They poured so much money into the bullpen. The focus of this offseason was we can't add enough to make the lineup good, but we can make the bullpen good. And they tried, and they failed. And that's why the bullpen's a bigger concern for me.
Yeah, by the way, I think that strategy sucks. Just to be completely blunt and clear.
What's more volatile in major professional sports than a bullpen?
Well, that's why, and I think it's very clear what they needed at the plate, and maybe they were scared away by the price tag. Like, getting Kyle Schwarber should have been an expensive layup, but one that you make because it would have made sense. It makes a difference, especially right now. But even if it's not him, there are a lot of ways they could have added to this lineup to make it better, to make it to where you weren't all in on Suarez, or, oh my gosh, Ellie isn't in the lineup and Sal Stewart isn't torching things like he did in April. What are we going to do? They're getting a lot out of J.J. Bleday. Mm-hmm. They're getting way more than we thought out of Nathaniel Lowe. Sal Stewart's been really solid. Like, those 3 guys are performing. Spencer Steer's been really consistent. That's what's tough, is you have all these bright spots and you're wasting it because of how flawed and inconsistent the rest of the lineup is, and it's because they didn't do enough. And so we could have seen this. I'm not sure we saw the bullpen being this bad. I thought they'd be okay. I didn't think they'd be a strength like they were in April. I certainly didn't think they'd be the worst bullpen ever. But you have to score, especially if you have a poor bullpen. You have to find a way to score more than 3 or 4 runs on any given night, because a 3-run lead is not going to be safe.
No, and going back to scoring when runners are on and taking, making the most out of those opportunities and chances. Friday night, bases loaded, bottom 1, get out of the inning, no runs. Even yesterday, runners on second and third, Suarez, Marte strike out back-to-back to end the inning. It's just, it's frustrating when you have moments like that in these close games and you can't get any runs across.
There's a bigger conversation here about Suarez, but when are we concerned, or is the concern level already there that Suarez is just not that dude?
What can you
I'm
do?
concerned.
I don't know if you could do anything.
That's what I mean.
But you're in trouble if he's not that guy, because the eggs are in that basket.
Well, I'd be shocked if there were members of this fan base that weren't already there. I don't know how you couldn't be freaking out about Suarez right now, especially with the injury and how much time that stole from him this season. I guess he had some extra base hits again, or an extra base hit again over the weekend, so I guess you could hold on to that. But at some point, it's a real concern, because we know what he had to be in order for this lineup to be decent, and it was maybe the best version of Suarez we've seen in a long time, and he's not even close to that. So it's certainly a concern, and I think the question people don't want to ask right now isn't just, when is Suarez Suarez going to get back to a point where he's really helping this lineup? It's when can Suarez on a one-year deal get back to a point where they can actually get some value for him at the trade deadline?
Yeah, I'm absolutely concerned. I mean, you just look at Suarez's numbers, and yes, let me pull these back up, but he only has 12 extra base hits on the season, and you look, he's actually identical. Both he and Bleday have 158 plate appearances. Bleday has 30 RBI. Suarez has 19, and it's hard to not compare. I know Bleday has been off to a good start, but to your point, it's why they brought Suarez in to be that bat in the middle of the lineup, and it's just the numbers. They're concerning.
Yeah.
I don't know what else to say. It's just he has to figure it out.
Well, if you were going to get this from Bleday, and Ellie was going to do what he did before injury, and Sal Stewart was going to be solid. If Suarez is anything, then you're feeling pretty good. Even with the Matt McLain struggles, like you can weather that, but there's just too much. There's too much. It's taken on too much. They're struggling in too many areas. The lineup one, the bullpen another. We debated it. Guess what? Both need to be better if the Reds are going to turn things around.